Yeah, that was an incredible day. They really didn't want us to have that. And after that, well, by the way, I mean, that didn't stop gun control that year, but it did dramatically change what we got. They were going to give localities the ability to ban guns. So, you know, Winchester could say, no guns in Winchester. All that stuff got knocked away when that crowd showed up. I mean, that absolutely blew their minds that many people would be there on this subject. They were hoping they could slide it under and get away with it. We made it clear that isn't going to happen. But we have to stay that activated. We can't back off. And my problem is I'm seeing a lot of people that are getting complacent. Well, we got the last election went really well, and so now I can relax. I did my part. No, you didn't, man. We're not. This is never going to end. If you think it's going to end, you're living in Fantasy Island. Not going to end. And this year, every pro-gun bill that we had out there was killed, but every anti-gun bill was killed too. So we were at, you know, the pro-gun side does not have control of the Senate, and because of that, we can't move forward with anything significant. Other states are passing us by. There's now 25 states out of 50 that allow you to carry a concealed gun without a permit. I mean, it's stupid. The whole idea of a permit goes back to Jim Crow and stuff. They wanted to make it so if you were a minority or a black person, they didn't want you, you had to get permission from a judge to carry concealed or they could put you in jail. That's all that's about. But you think about how stupid it is. Like right now, I don't need a permit because I'm open carrying. So if I put my coat on, now I need training. I need, I need to put 50 bucks in. I got an application. I got a background check. All of that stuff to put on a coat. Same gun, same person, but the coat is where they get you. So we want to fix that. But there's no way we can fix it until at least 2024. And by the way, we may have to drag a few Republicans with us. In the past, when they were in full control, we had a bill like this put in. Couldn't get it out of committee. So just because they're a Republican doesn't guarantee anything. We still have to do our job to make sure that they know that we want them to protect our right to keep and bear arms. I know I've spun a globe and looked at it, and I said, you know, if I couldn't live here, where else could I live on this planet? And I couldn't find any place that I'd want to live. I don't want to go to Canada. I have no interest in Mexico or South America, certainly not Africa or Antarctica. Asia? No, I don't think so. Europe? Not the way Europe's going. No interest in that. This is the shining city on the hill. The rest of the world is pretty dark, and they want to shut off our lights so that we can join that crowd. We're the one country standing up and showing what true liberty can be like. And they're trying to strip that away from us because you cannot have one world order. And I believe it, 20 years ago I would have laughed at you if you said that, but now I know that's clearly what's going on out there. They're trying to put everybody in under one world order. You're always going to have people that want to dominate everybody else. I don't understand it. I have enough trouble taking care of my own life. I don't want to get involved in your life and tell you what to do and what you shouldn't do. I have no interest in that. But there are people that live for this kind of stuff. They truly live for it. And those are the ones that are dangerous if they get into power. And unfortunately, they're attracted to power like a moth to fire. They're attracted to government because that's the ultimate power. You don't even have to have money and you can have dominion over people. And you can be an elected bureaucrat and make lives miserable. Not everybody's like that in government. I've met some wonderful people. So you've got the good people that are there working hard, but it also attracts the bad people. And sometimes police have the same problem. 95 or 98% of the police are all good people working hard, difficult job, but a few percentage get in there that should never be given a badge. Okay, so there's a definite effort to take off the lights of this country. And to do that, they can't do it as long as we're armed. There is no socialist or communist country out there that lets people freely bear arms, especially where the Constitution is saying that, and the use of those arms could be used to take back a government that's gone tyrannical. Can you imagine any other government in the world nowadays trusting their people to that degree? It's not trust. The government is our employee. The government was created by us to do things like print money, to give a common defense for a country, and other things of that nature. It wasn't meant to be our in loco parentis. It's not our parent. It's not our boss. It doesn't give us rights. We gave it power. We have rights. It doesn't give us rights. It can't give us those. Those were given to us at birth. Nor can they legitimately be taken away from us. And when they try to take your rights away, it's because they want to go full control over you. You know, they can't have full control if you have free speech. They can't do full control if you have other rights, like the right to search and seizure, the right to a court jury trial, all of that. So the Fifth Amendment, where you have the right to remain silent, you can't have all that stuff in a government that wants to be tyrannical. You sure as heck can't have an armed populace. They found that out right after World War II in a little city in Tennessee, where the government there was illegally put into power, and all these returning veterans weren't going to have it, and they literally used the Second Amendment to take their town back. It actually happened after World War II.
Battle of Athens?
Battle of Athens. So there's a definite intent to take this away from us, and there's a playbook that's involved, and you can see it from state to state. Same thing going on wherever you look. But one of the things that's on the top of the list, and Michael Bloomberg is kind of one of the driving forces, this billionaire. He's a little short, sort of I don't know, Hitler, little short guy, Napoleon complex. He wants to be a Napoleon. And so consequently, he didn't want to control, you couldn't have sugary drinks in New York and this, that, and the other. I mean, a complete freak on this stuff. I guess he's extremely insecure in real life, but he wants to control everybody else. And one of the things they want to do there is make it so that if they can't strip you completely of the Second Amendment, what's the next option? Well, make it so it's either so hard to comply or so expensive or whatever that you kind of say, okay, I got a Second Amendment, but I'm not going to go through all of that. I'm not going to do all this stuff to bear arms. Forget it, it's just too much. That's what they're hoping for. And one of the ways they do that, and we had it happen here in 2020, was they gave local government the power to pass gun control. Now, what other of our key rights do we let local government handle? I mean, do they say, well, when you go to Fredericksburg, Virginia, you don't have the Fourth Amendment and you don't really have the First Amendment in Winchester? By the way, we're suing Winchester over their gun ban. I got a good feeling about it. So, and when we're done with them, then we're going to go to Richmond. Richmond's really ripe for this. But anyhow, they let local government do it. So now, when you travel, you're kind of going, well, let's see, I got to go to Northern Virginia, unfortunately, so I've got to go to Fairfax and Alexandria, and, oh, what are the gun laws there? Well, you can't do this here and you can't do that there. And believe me, local government can be as tyrannical as anybody, maybe more so. Even though you're closer to your local government, think about this. A lot of local governments have 5 people in the Board of Supervisors or maybe even a little town council. That means 3 of them, 3 people, could vote to take away your gun rights or to restrict them. 3 people. The way it was before, and VCDL fought for this and got it in 2004, all local gun control was gone. It all came from the state. Therefore, 140 people had to look at every law, and 71 of them had to agree with the law before your gun rights were effective. So this was part of a major plan. However, the plan didn't go well. It didn't go well for Bloomberg and his crew. They planned this right after that election in 2019. I don't know if you remember, but the governor was kind of saying, yeah, you know, we're looking at confiscating guns. We're just checking into it. This was in the papers, okay? And finally, some gun owners that had been sleeping for the last 20 years, suddenly their ears perked up and their eyes opened. And then suddenly we had local board of supervisors, the city councils and town councils that might on a busy day have 50 people, have 3,000 people show up. They had to take over a school to have enough room to put everybody in an auditorium. And even then, in some cases, it was overflowing. They had to put out, in the country, they were putting out traffic warnings because there was nowhere to park in some of these areas and the roads were plugged with people. The effect of that, we still feel reverberations of that. If gun owners did that every time, there's nothing we couldn't do in this state. But some of them have gone back to sleep. They think they fixed the problem. I don't understand that. It's up to you. If you know people, don't let them get away with that. People died face down in the mud to give us our liberty. What do we have to do? We have to go vote. Oh my God, that's so terrible. What would you rather do? Like be the one dying in the mud in a foreign country as a young man, or would you rather go vote if you were given a choice? Which one are you going to pick? But some of us can't even do that. They just can't get off their tails and vote. Gun owners cannot afford not to vote. They cannot afford not to be in this because they're coming after us. They need to take us down. We're the canary in the coal mine. When we go, that's going to be the end of it. You lose your gun rights, you can kiss your First Amendment goodbye, you can kiss your private property goodbye. You can forget about trying to change the educational system. It's only going to get worse. It'll become even more indoctrinated than it is now. All of that's at stake. But we have an advantage. We're not at a disadvantage at all. There's over 100 million gun owners, well over that. And now we got in the last 2 years, I think we've got almost 10 million new gun owners. And all of those are pretty much people that before this said, I don't think I need a gun, or why does anybody need a gun? Suddenly their lights went on when they saw riots going on and nothing being done to stop them. You got a city burning behind a reporter. He says, well, this is a mostly peaceful protest. Meanwhile, people that are watching that are going, it's time to buy a gun. And all those people are coming on board. There is a change in this country that way. We're seeing that while the gun control side is fighting hard to strip our rights away, that nature is pulling everybody else in an opposite direction. They're on the losing end of that stick in the long run. But, with the elections, and maybe you're worried about the integrity of it, then maybe people are getting in that shouldn't be in, that we're not electing to take those rights away. So, but it's a battle. It is a battle. There's no guarantee we're going to win. There's also no guarantee we're going to lose. I can tell you that the nicest people that I ever meet as I go through my life are gun owners. These are people that would give you the shirt off their back if you needed it. Imagine this. You're walking down the street and all of a sudden a Maserati pulls up next to you. The guy gets out and he walks up to you and he goes, hey, like to try my car out? I just bought this thing. Here are the keys. Why don't you take it around the block and see what you think? I don't think that's ever going to happen when you're walking down the street. But you go to a gun range, and it's not unusual to have somebody come up and say, hey, I just bought this Glock. You want to try it out? Here's some ammunition. It may be $1 a round, but they'll still provide you some ammunition and let you shoot it. That's what I'm counting on to be able to really stand up and save this country. Those people, the salt of the earth, the people that believe in liberty, believe in freedom. And that's why another reason they want to come after us is we are generally, most gun owners are very independent people. If something happened and we had to grow our own food or we had to hunt our own food, we'd go do it. Other people would sit in the corner and cry. That's not us. That's not who we are. We get the job done. We'll do whatever it takes to protect our families, to protect our communities, and protect our country. But let's not wait until there's a disaster before we activate. That's what happened in 2019. If all those people had gotten out and voted or done that a year before or before those elections may have turned out very differently. We may be having a very different conversation right now in Virginia. But they didn't. People, unfortunately, get active when you're under threat. It's kind of like when you gamble. If you go gamble and you win $100, you kind of look at it and go, well, that's nice, but $100. But if you lose $100, that feels like you lost 1,000. It's just psychology. But that same thing applies to our rights and everything. Like right now, look, we have backed up. since 2020. Again, local governments, fortunately, because of all of those Second Amendment sanctuaries, that stopped what could have been a big disaster. Only 16 localities out of 192 decided to do their own local gun control. That's like 5%. That's it. That's a big deal. They had the opportunity, all these localities had the opportunity to come in and do what they did. And who would have thought little old Winchester would do it way out here? But all by themselves, they have all kinds of gun bans going on. So it can happen anywhere. But so we got all this stuff we need to get back. We need to get back that. We need to get rid of one gun a month. We need to get rid of universal background checks so that we want to sell private guns to each other. We can do it like we used to do. All kinds of those things, red flag laws, those all need to go. You know, red flag laws, they don't do anything for the person that's having a crisis. They don't get him help, they just take his guns away. So if he was depressed and had the police come in and raid his house, now he's really going to be depressed. It's all about taking our guns. We already had a mechanism for people that had a mental health crisis that would get them help. It's called a temporary detention order, get them help. And if they're okay, they never lose any of their rights. Only if they really have a serious problem do they then lose their rights, but then they can get their rights back once they've got the problem solved and so forth. So we need to get rid of all that. So a lot of gun owners have forgotten that we've stepped back, even though we're nowhere near where they wanted to take us, thanks to those Second Amendment sanctuaries and that huge rally, we're still behind. We've gone backwards. And now is when we need to get active. It's kind of, the example I would give is if you needed to paddle across a lake, okay, you needed to get to the other side. So what a lot of people have been doing is they fight the river getting up to the lake, paddling like mad, like they did in 2019. Then they get to the lake and they have the election go the way they want, and now they stop paddling. The one time you can really make some distance up and get a lot of stuff done, they stop paddling. No, you need to paddle harder. Once the Republicans take over, we need to get behind them and push them hard. We want them to do for us what the Democrats did for the gun control side in 2020 and 2021. We want all kinds of gun bills in there. We want our rights restored. And we can do that. So if you're not a member of VCDL, I've got some brochures. You can join online, vcdl.org. By the way, we have a free email alert system. We got 60,000 people on that, and people love it because it focuses strictly on your gun rights, and you know what's going on in the General Assembly around you. Everything that's going on that a gun owner needs to know, we put on VA Alert. It's a free email system. Just go on our website, vcdl.org, where it says VA Alert. You can put in your email and you're on it. And then you'll be locked in. Again, we recommend you tell people about that. It's a battle where numbers count. And by the way, we have currently about 14,000 members. We had 8,000 before the 2020 hit, okay? We jumped to 30,000 or so in 2020, 2021. Then gun owners got complacent with this election, and now we're down to 14,000. You know how many permit holders we have in this state? How many people have a concealed handgun permit? Which, by the way, VCDL was instrumental in making those permits shall issue in 1995. How many do we have? 750,000. We have 750,000 permit holders, not gun owners. We got more gun owners than that, of course. We probably got 2.5 million gun owners. And we have 14,000 members. What does that tell you? That tells you for each person that's getting something done to protect our rights, you're carrying the water for how many other people that can't get off their rear ends and carry their own water. That's a rather un-American aspect. We all like to think we carry our own water and we don't depend on somebody else to do our work for us. But a lot of gun owners are lax on that. The reason I'm telling you that is, if you go to a gun show, if you've got friends that are gun owners, if you're in a store and you talk to somebody and guns come up, get them going on this. Wake them up. Make sure they understand that if you're a gun owner, you're part of the problem if you're not part of the solution. And the solution is be active and do what you need to do. So we're about out of time. I don't know if there's any a couple questions. I'd be glad to go anywhere you want on guns. That's the one. No, that's my 20 minutes I set for myself. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Phil, I know Bill spoke about it earlier, and I know coming from the Intel community, the facial recognition, I think plays a huge part. It may look, policy-wise, like it doesn't affect 2A, but I think ultimately it can and it will. What's your position on the facial recognition bill in front of the General Assembly right now?
Well, it's really pretty much outside of our bailiwick. I could see where, yeah, somebody could scan a crowd and say, okay, that's a gun owner and so forth. So it might be something we probably might want to reconsider next year if it comes up again. That would be the only angle I could think of. It's like some people come to me and go, well, why don't we just have a little thing on our driver's license that says that we have had a background check and we can buy guns and therefore we don't have to carry a permit and all that, do background check. I said, yeah, they'll love you in New Jersey and New York. Yeah, just drive through there and show them your driver's license and see how that goes for you. Yeah. A lot of people don't think about all the ancillary aspects of this. And unfortunately, right now, we're just in a mode where, our government's supposed to be our servant, but it's just hard to trust the government right now. We're watching the BATF go out there and make laws up they can't legally make up. By the way, that started with Trump, unfortunately. Trump didn't do a whole lot for gun owners, unfortunately. He said he was going to protect the Second Amendment, but he got us a bump stock ban and it started a horrible trend there. I don't think he did it out of meanness, but he also made the statement, let's take their guns and then give them let them do their due process later. That's not good. So whoever's in charge, they're our servant. We need to keep an eye on them. And it's up, if we don't speak up. By the way, a lot of people will say, "Oh, why am I wasting my time writing Mark Warner? And why am I wasting my time writing Kane or whoever your local gun control government person is?" And the reason is that silence is acceptance. No matter who they are, if they're doing it wrong, they need to hear from you. Don't let them get away with it. Otherwise, they're in an echo chamber. They do something bad with guns or whatever. They don't hear anything except from the gun control crowd. Oh, everybody's okay with this. All right, let's do a little more. No, that's how we got to push back. Even though it may not change their minds, you have to push back because that's what you got to do. Any other questions? Okay, I'll turn it back to Susan. Thank you.